Let's roll. Let's go. Sorry for the blunder, all right? Let's get it. Come on, let's go. Shoot. Ready. All right, starting today's show with a quick health tip. We used to do a health tip at the end of every show, but I'm going to do a quick one at the beginning of this one. Protect your skin. Doesn't matter what complexion you are, light, dark, or somewhere in between. The sun will brutalize the skin. So I'm under radar once again because I had more skin cancer cut off my face. So protect the skin. You know, if I could go back in time as a boy and wear some type of wide brim hat to surf in, to ski in, to play tennis in, to wakeboard in, to do whatever in, I would have done so, and I might have more meat left on my face. So protect your skin, right?
Yes, protect your skin. I get a lot of juniors out there, pretty girls with no hats, just burning their face.
Yeah, getting crispy like bacon out there.
And they're not even as dark as me. I mean, it helps if you're a little bit darker, but still, they're very fair, and they're burning in that sun.
Protect the skin. No joke. Definitely a serious matter. Believe me, some skin issues can kill you.
Not only that, you don't age well with the sun.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like my face is like a baseball mitt. I need some, like, what do they call that? Mink oil? I need a mink oil on my face. All right.
Moisturizer. Gotta use it.
All right. Protect the skin. Real quickly, too, as we began the show, one of the things that we always like to do is mention viewer comments. And we haven't done that in a while. And the last two shows that we did, there was two comments that kind of jumped right out and kind of summed up the past hour and a half of content in basically two comments from viewers. I've always said I'm just a dumb human being, and there's a lot people are a lot wiser than I out there. And this just proves the point, because I felt that these two comments by these two viewers summed up basically two subjects we have been talking about. One, why can't anyone crack the big three? And two,
which one am I going with first?
We can pick or choose. The second one was why does Nadal have a difficult time with Djokovic on the hard court? So Carla, turning it over to you. The comments, I think, were Gene Swart and South Africa. Mm-hmm. And I think the other one was Pistol Shrimp Studio, which had a really good one as well. So read the names in the comments.
Well, I'll start with Gene Swart, right? He's talking about Rafa. Rafa tends to get more defensive and hit his balls with way too much topspin and allowing Djokovic to be more aggressive on non-clay surfaces. I feel less encouraged, and I doubt he will make even a final at the Australian Open because the courts are too fast and low bouncing for him, and that is suitable for players like Medvedev, Federer, and Djokovic. Carla, I also want to add something. I think Rafa has a mental block when he faces Djokovic on hard courts. But just look at Rafa's Australian Open final run last year. He basically destroyed everyone with his improved serve, backhand, and hitting his forehand down the line more often. But when he faced Djokovic, that was the complete opposite. Rafa really needs to trust his game more and play the same aggressive brand of tennis against him, and then we'll see you challenging or beating Novak more often.
I can't say anything because he's
on point.
He's on point there.
He plays Novak very different. I agree with Gene. It's like there is something like it. It's like he's scared to see him. It's almost like I think Federer goes through the same thing with Novak as well. Very tentative tennis.
I think right now it's mental 100%. Mm-hmm. The other stuff from a coaching aspect, hitting balls down the line, using the top spin, slowing or speeding up the court. These are things that we can correct, we can adjust to during match, mid-match at this level. And again, for me, the icing on the cake with the comment is something that I think we did not we did not discuss. We've talked about the coaching aspects of it. But what we did not talk about is the mental aspect of it.
Yeah.
So look what happened to Federer serving for the match at Wimbledon versus Djokovic. Couldn't close it. Could you call that a choke? I would.
That's a choke.
And why is that? Surely there is a mental cloud in everyone's head that says, geez, can I close the door against this guy? Mm-hmm. It's mental. Arguably, if not the greatest returner ever in the game to ever have been played across generations of equipment, technology, changes and shifts. I think from a reactionary standpoint, he's arguably the most responsive, the most quick to get to ball, and the most quick to take advantage of pace and use it or change it up with variety. He's an incredible returner. With that said, I think Gene gets a honorable mention, not only for his coaching recap of that, but to bring up the major point that we did not, at least I don't recall bringing it up, the mental aspect of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a mental block with him and Djokovic. Like on clay,
and with Federer.
On clay, he's a different person with Djokovic. He should play the same way he plays him in clay. The same thing. Be aggressive. Give it to him. Don't forget that it's Novak Djokovic. At this point, with so many losses, he has nothing to lose. Might as well go for it.
Also, the mental aspect of it, as Gene pointed out, if Djokovic understands that these guys are a little bit weary about closing the door, doesn't that at the same time even make someone like Novak even more confident,
yes.
Even more prone to go for it and to pump up the crowd and use them in a positive way or use them in a negative way? Put out the negative to gain the positive, or put out the positive to bring in even more positive. I think Djokovic is mental with everyone on tour right now, but given the statistics, I think he's more mental with Nadal than anybody.
Yeah, he has some players that he has a tough time with. I think Wawrinka's one of them that gets under his skin, that he has trouble beating.
I don't recall. We can't forget. Wasn't it last year that Roger Federer won the Australian Open? Or no, that was the year before.
That was the year before.
So the year before, when Roger won the Australian Open, did he play Djokovic that year?
I think he played Chilik. There was 2 years. Let me look.
I did play
Nadal.
I don't know the answer to that question, and I just thought about it. But as we proceed forward to this Australian Open, I think everyone out there has a mental block around a mental block.
Well, it's like Wawrinka can't beat Federer. That's a mental block.
Yeah, it's mental. So great comment there. We have a second comment. And the second comment...
Hold on, I was going to look that up here. Okay, so Federer beat Chilik the year before that, and then he beat Nadal the year before that.
Okay, cool. So I don't know if he played Djokovic in the semi or not. I don't recall. But I was going to say, if so, that was probably going to be the last time that anyone prevailed over Djokovic at the Australian Open. He just seems dialed open.
I think he was injured at that time.
Maybe so. Yeah. I didn't think that out. It just kind of came out. Maybe it even came out wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, great point that it's mental, and it's mental for everyone. Hopefully Djokovic stays healthy. And if so, then watch out.
Yep. Next one was Pistol Shrimp Studio. I thought this one was pretty good. Funny, too, because I agree with him 100%. To surpass Big Three, younger players need to be humble, hardworking, disciplined, and patient. I see none of those qualities in them right now. Plus, they need to learn to dictate points from the baseline more to control their opponent. Not just hit big, serve big, or grind. Closer to that level is Dominic Thiem on clay from his middle gen. But does he have in him the mental focus of a champion needed to win Grand Slams on a consistent basis? Time will tell. Others? Nah, I don't like the next gen one bit.
What can you say to that? It's another spot-on comment. This comment was in reference to a topic we had on the last show or the one before.
Wait, he has one more thing he says that I have to say. I didn't read this, but now he sends it to Rajesh. He said, it's unfortunate. He says, I missed the great battles of the Big Three plus Murray,
I think because he was new to the game.
Yeah, Murray, Delpo, Wawrinka, and some other players in their prime like Federer, Berdych, Tsonga, Monfils. All of them deserve to win more. I can relate to the kids of today. It's not easy for them to fill in the gap left by all those great players. But arrogance is not the way. That won't take you anywhere. They need to think more long term. See the big picture in order to achieve anything. This is not the way. He said it really well. I mean, this is what's going on with the young generation. They think they can throw rackets. They think they can offend people, be disrespectful, do whatever they want. They think they're unstoppable. They're not humble, like he said. They're arrogant. What else can I say? They're not nice.
There's not much you can say in response to that because it's another spot-on comment, hence why we read it. A couple things right off, though. From a coaching standpoint, I'm going to disagree with only one aspect of that, dictating points from quote-unquote the baseline. For me, that's not the answer. For me, the answer is to put points together, think a couple steps ahead, end some points at the net, end some points with drop shots, end some points by luring someone in and going for the lob. Put some points together.
But if you notice, a lot of these guys don't even know how to move forward. They don't. They grind it in the back. They don't know what to do once they're up there. They don't. They're lost.
My father, 82 years young, longtime player, born into the game, was my coach pretty much my entire life, and we still hit the ball now to this day. My father has a nickname for my oldest son, Jonathan, who's 17, and he calls him, what is it? Center baseline Jonathan. So, and what I mean by this is, we picture a tennis court. Here's a tennis court here, a doubles alley, center hash mark, whatever, half the court. Every time that my father comes out to coach Jonathan, every time he sees him hitting, he's stuck right in the middle of the baseline, just stuck right there. He's right in the middle.
He's not the only one. I have so many juniors that I tell them, hey, let's hit cross court to cross court. Why? I don't like it.
The reason why this is a problem is because how many points are won just stuck right in the center of the baseline? Some points are won there, but generally they're ooh and ah passing shots or lobs, whatever. But your ideal place to be is not always right in the center of the baseline. Unfortunately, we see this a lot, especially here as coaches and around every country club or public park that we go to seemingly these days. It's a bunch of center baseliners that really, when they get off center, they don't know what to do. They just hit the ball and they get back to the center, which we always want to recover and get back to the center. But what I'm getting at is if they get off center, they're probably they could miss the shot. They might sail it long. They might dink it. They might scoop it. They might whiff it. They might frame it. They're lost when they get off center. So I disagree with that we always need to be hugging the baseline because myself, I was raised to serve and volley or adapted with technology as it shifted. I went from an 85 Pro Staff original Kevlar graphite to a Babolat Pure Aero first edition, and it was like, whoa, this is a big difference here. Hold on. So what I'm saying is that the baseline is not the answer.
No, it definitely isn't.
It's just not.
When I'm hitting at the baseline against anybody, I'm trying to figure out a way, how can I get in and just end this point? I'm not thinking, let's go back and forth. I'm trying to see, where can I move you, where I can start. It's almost like chess. You're moving a piece forward. You're trying to come forward. The whole point of tennis is to move forward. Like I tell our students, move forward. Don't ever get stuck back there.
And not always. I think when we...
I'm not saying come to the net, but you want to be inching in because the more you're in that court, that means you're the one dictating the points.
Yeah.
Not back there just trying to get everything back.
Yeah, in a sense, don't concede territory. If you get a ball that's short or shorter, take the shot. I'm not saying go gusto, but place it in a spot, move your opponent, know where to approach, know how to approach, cut the angle off, set up the point, and just end it. So again, I disagree with we need to learn how to dictate points from the baseline. Is it important? Yes. Playing someone like Nadal or Djokovic, is primarily Djokovic, at least on the hard court. But
that guy can stretch.
But you're gonna have to be able to put in some 1-2 punches, some 2-3 shot points, and especially serve well. So anyway, the second thing he mentioned was Dominic Thiem. Not some great thing, but again, I will always be partial to Dominic Thiem being ever really truly great because he jumps and hits at the one-handed backhand. I've talked about this so many times on this show. All of my children hit a one-handed. Where we at?
14.
So all of my children hit a one-handed. I hit a one-handed. My father hits a one-handed. Carla can hit a one-handed. Her brother, phenomenal tennis player, hits a one-handed. Her father hits a one-handed. We hit one-handed.
I hit mostly two, though. I use two.
And when you hit a one-handed backhand, or any shot for that matter, here comes the ball. Your mind's stuck on target. You let it fly. Here it comes. And at the last second, we jump. We tend to miss-hit frame or hit long, sometimes roll it up with too much spin into the net. So Dominic Thiem has a problem that he needs to stay down when hitting. Shapovalov used to have it when he played Djokovic the other night. He looked like he was staying down for the majority of the time. Hence why I think Shapovalov's a little bit had a little bit better of a season so far early on, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Even Tsitsipas stays down through that.
lastly, totally agree with what he said about being humble. That's what this show, in a sense, is about. Sure, we battle it out and talk smack, and people threaten to unsubscribe and all this other stuff. But I think at the end of the day, it's always done in a kind of a friendly, athletic type, in your face, but knowing we're all good. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that what we have here, though, with the kids is that they're spoiled kids these days. I don't care where you are from on the planet, but generally, the kids that become at this level in the game, i.e. Tsitsipas, for example, or any of the young ones that throw these tantrums, they come from generally pretty well-off deep pockets. Okay, just saying. Okay, it's not an expensive sport to play. You can go get a broomstick and a ball and play in the street. But to get at this level, generally, you're paying tons of money in coaches and traveling, etc., etc. In 2020, these kids have cell phones. They have video games. They got access to private jets and fancy cars early on. So they get their panties in a wad and they break a racket and, cry for something. And hit dads with tennis rackets, hate puppies, and beat umpires' chairs.
I get over the hate puppies. He doesn't hate puppies.
Zverev didn't like the puppy on the court with Lindell. How you going to tell me he liked puppies?
Hate puppies. The way you say
it. What did he put on it? Instagram or Twitter? Yeah, Lindell's out here on the phone talking about golf, carrying his puppy.
He hate puppies.
Whatever, man. Anyway, that's not what I'm saying, but I think they're spoiled little bratty kids, and the next best of the best.
It's just not tennis players. I see it in a lot of sports. A lot of these young athletes, they think they're entitled to everything. We just watched this LSU game, Clemson. I watched the LSU football players. They think they're God, and that's not how life is. You're not God. There's only one. Be humble. Thank you.
Yeah, so I agree with it, but again, I think humility, trying to instill humility and a spoiled kid is tough. This is a shout out to Novak Djokovic once again. There are a lot of Serbian players that came up playing in bombed out swimming pools because of just war-torn countries, right?
Well, obviously he knows the struggle. His family struggled to get him there, he knows it.
I think currently on tour, there's a lot of players with crazy stories and, like, oh my gosh, how did you weather that storm? I think Djokovic is one of those that we have to look at in a way of he's a fighter, he's a warrior, as you like to call him.
Yeah, I call him a warrior because of what he's been through. And
surely there he had access to tennis and so forth, so... but my thing is it doesn't matter how much money you have or how much money you come from. If you're having bombs fall on your head and you're playing in bombed-out swimming pools to get some practice, I'm telling you what, that's a soldier, all right? So, great comments. Let's move forward because time, right? Mm-hmm. Real quickly, the draws for the Australian Open come out on Wednesday night here, tomorrow night. That would be mañana. Let's get down with that Spanish. Let's go. That would be mañana. And that would be like a day ahead in Australia. So it's like Thursday there, but tomorrow here.
So make sure you guys are turning in your picks because it'll be done soon.
So we will be putting our fantasy team predictions if you're going to play, and our tennis racket giveaway finals predictions if you're going to play on the separate video. I'm not going to talk about it here too much time, but go to the video on its own playlist titled Australian Open 2020 Prize Giveaway, Fantasy Team Competition, and Tennis Racket Giveaway Competition, and all the rules are there. I will do my draw before, obviously, the tournament starts, but I'll probably do it tomorrow or the next day and go ahead and throw my teams up there. And
I'm going to wait for some of the qualifiers.
Yeah, she's waiting for some qualifiers. I don't think there's any qualifiers out there that are going to make me not... or make me wait. So,
I'm trying to see what Bushfires going to do on the women's side.
All right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and run to you.
Okay, we were watching, actually, we didn't know the qualifying round started at the Australian Open. We were watching some of these matches. We'll start with the women. Someone mentioned Eugenie Bouchard yesterday. Who was it, Stefan?
Yes, it was Stefan Nizovic. Mentioned that if Eugenie Bouchard made the main draw of the Australian Open, I think he was joking about it, so I'm not putting him on the spot, but joked about, we talked about betting odds on the last show for the Aussie Open. I think he was joking, but maybe not, but we'll see if he wants to take the action. So Stefan Nizovic indicated, probably jokingly, that if Eugenie Bouchard was in the main draw, he would bet $100 that she would lose her first round match.
Yeah, he said, I would put $100 on Bouchard losing her first match, and after that, pull the money on Medvedev winning the Australian Open.
So it was a joke because we were talking about odds and so forth.
Yeah.
But I would probably take that action if you have an interest thereof. He was kidding. But great fun comment.
And he got me hooked to some tennis games, so stop it.
Yeah, sent us a great tennis game, and I think I think we probably were about the same based upon his number and our percentage.
Yeah.
We actually added that up. All right, so shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say.
About Eugenie Bouchard and Instagram.
Oh,
She
yes.
posted on Instagram.
So if she does get through qualifying, and I think she won her match yesterday.
That's what I was about to talk about. Yeah.
If she does make the main draw, I might take that action, but that's up to you.
Yeah, Eugenie Bouchard fights back. She had lost the first set, wins in 3 sets against a player from China named Yu Xiaobi. So good for her. I would actually like for her to get into the main draw so she could do a little bit of damage. You know, I'd like to see some top players out. Another tough match that we were watching was, actually, let's stay with the Australian Open. We have quite a few Americans that came through. Dolhai, Rogers, and Gibbs. Gibbs was the girl who just beat mouth cancer.
Good for her. I heard about that.
So she won.
So I didn't see the Dolhide match. Was Dolhide on of our list of some of those that we think about fitness, or is that a different?
I'm
player?
not sure.
Go
I
ahead.
think it's a different player.
Go ahead.
Also, another young player from Washington was Haley Baptiste. She won. Good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Girl he likes, Bolsova Sadonov, the girl with the tattoos that look a little big. That's the one I think you're referring to.
Yeah.
Nicolescu wins. We've heard of her. X-Wang, Zhang Wang. Wikimeyer, she's been suspended before for doping. She's from Belgium, pulled through. One that I was shocked that lost was Osigwe. She's, Osigwe. Yes, you're right.
So, again, I don't know.
Dolhide, yes.
I don't know if it's best to show that.
No,
or not.
we're not going to show
So, we always talk about players that we think if they added a little bit more emphasis on.
There's quite a few that could.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway, we won't go there, but Dolhide I hope does well, and hopefully she looks more fit. I haven't seen her this year.
Yeah. I was talking about Osigwe, the young American 16-year-old. She lost in qualifying rounds. Tough, because, I thought that her and Coco Gauff were kind of in the same...
I thought they were too.
But it doesn't seem like it. It's not happening for her.
I thought they were too.
Her dad coaches at IMGM, right? IMG, so I don't know what's going on with her. A tough match for Jakupovic. We watch her retire to Bogelli. Bogelli won the match. She collapsed on the tennis court. She was coughing a lot, had a hard time breathing. She said it was hard for her to breathe for the whole match after 20 minutes. Quote, I wasn't able to make more than 3 shots running left and right because I was already getting an asthma attack, and I don't have asthma normally. So that was tough for her. We watched that. That was kind of sad, them trying to help her. Lost the match, lost qualities on that one.
I have a whole bit kind of on that, so...
we'll get back to it.
Yeah, keep in mind what she
and
keep in mind about some of these matches and these scores and these players going down and what's kind of transpiring.
Sure.
So,
the next one we watch, which is a little sad to me, is Donald Young, the American, 30 years old now, trying to qualify at the Australian Open. He was playing another American player that was presenting his country, Taiwan, but he was born in American soil. His name is Jason Yoon. Right, Jason Yoon?
Yeah, he played for Michigan.
Another 30-year-old. We watched this. This was tough to swallow. 3 sets. Young, just, I feel for him because he was a promising junior, a promising young, tennis pro. They thought that
supposed to be the next best thing here.
Supposed to be the next best thing. We watched his dad sit there. There was no one in the stands, by the way. It was pretty empty. And you could see him just struggling. His forehand was short. He was yelling at a ball kid about the towel, which I thought was disrespectful.
No, he chunked the towel at the ball girl and was griping at him.
Griping at her. You're here, you're in qualies, and you're griping at this poor girl that's just happy to be there picking up balls.
All standing out in some smoke in the heat. Here.
He goes down, he goes out, the other 30-year-old wins. I have to question myself. I wonder what he's thinking. I know why they do it, why they're still playing. I mean, they're trying to make it, but 30 is... You're almost at the end of your career, pretty much, and he never really got to start his career. Him and Querrey were both the number 1 and number 2. Querrey was number 2, I remember, and Querrey had a much better career. We've seen him in many semifinals at Wimbledon. Just tough. I think that his dad was sitting there. I would have fired his dad a long time ago. Just saying. And Taylor Townsend, that's her coach, and they're both lefties. I just see the same type of tennis. Too loopy, too short, not enough thinking out there. Just sad to see.
For me, this is another prime example of being locked into the game or any sport for that matter, since birth, and not detaching yourself from the parent. And again, there's always exceptions to the rule, i.e., Serena Williams.
But even she detached later
on. Yeah.
on.
So the reason why this is an issue, and we've talked about this with, say, the likes of Coco Gauff and Osigwe. And by the way, I think the reason why Osigwe doesn't do as well is because her dad is an active coach at an academy, and we know from experience that when we teach other people, which we do, it's hard to teach your own kids.
Yeah, but he's got all the other coaches at his disposal too.
Yeah, but that means money, and who knows? Tennis coaches aren't the richest people in the world, and lessons are very expensive these days. So, just saying. Back to Donald Young and the young man Jung. It's Jung, but pronounced Jung.
Young was 38 high, by the way.
Okay.
38 was his highest ranking.
This young man Jung, though, is no joke. He plays with the Taiwanese flag, but he's from SoCal, Southern California, where I am from. So it's not like this guy was a pushover. He was a two-time Michigan All-American player, Division I, big things. Donald Young, though, for me, was never really a threat once he jumped onto the Pro Tour. The talk-up was that he was a lights-out junior. He never separated himself from, what I consider, based upon his game and no variation thereof over the years, is subpar coaching. No offense to father. But I just see I've always seen a lot of aggravation in Donald Young versus putting in change to tactics. It's always a complaint, or it's always half effort, seemingly not counting as effort. But when I mean lack of effort, I mean the whole package.
His style looks the same.
The same style.
From when I watch him as a junior to now, hasn't changed. His body hasn't changed. Everything, it's the same.
Yeah, so with Donald Young, the thing that I don't get, and I say I don't get it, myself, 42, 5 kids and a busted leg, a broken wrist at this point, or recovering from that. If I had an opportunity to go play in the qualies at the Australian Open on one leg and hop around, I would do it.
Sure.
So I get why he's there. He's an athlete and he wants to compete. It's what he knows. That's his gig. But what I don't get is why put so much, I guess you could say, into going through the qualies of the U.S. Open when he could play Charleston, South Carolina tournaments, or
you mean challengers?
Well, no, not challengers. Providence, Rhode Island, the Hall of Fame tournament, and what is it, Rhode Island on grass or something. These are 250 level tournaments, and get his PR there. But going all the way to Australia and getting beaten in the first round of the qualies with a completely empty stadium, I'm just trying to figure out what he's trying to do. Do you think that he thinks he actually has a chance to win the tournament? Do you see what I'm saying? So.
No.
I mean, I get why he's going, but I don't understand what he's trying to do. I just don't. I guess I don't. When you're a professional athlete, you're that's your career. You're a professional. That's what you do to make money. So I don't get why you would put so much into traveling clear across the world and playing through the qualies when you know you have no chance to actually do any damage in the tournament. Why wouldn't you just save your traveling expenses and so forth and play something close to home or near home, or maybe where you don't even you know what I'm saying, and have a chance to win a couple of rounds? Mm-hmm. Because losing in the first round of the qualies isn't paying the rent.
It's not. You just spent money going there, hotel, long trip. Yeah, that's tough to swallow. It's got to be tough. And you can see that he's just angry.
Yeah, and
he's
disrespect.
Just angry. He's not happy to be out there.
Yeah, when you're a professional athlete, that is your career. It's like going. I think his choice to go over there is like going into work and peeing in the cash register. I don't really. You're like firing yourself because you're losing money, and now you get beat by no disrespect, but by
this guy Yoon was 114 was his high.
Yeah, and they're both around the same age, 30. So
what,
so what does that tell you?
Yeah.
I think he could have made a better business decision, but again, if I'm an athlete and I can afford to do it, and I got money to throw away, I'd be with him. I would play too.
Sure.
It'd be a long.
I just feel for him.
It would be a long flight home though.
It's tough. Another player that goes down that we were talking about yesterday was Bernard Tomic. He goes down to Denis Kudla in 2 sets. He as well had a hard time breathing. Or he just sucks. One of the two. I can't give this guy a break. I'm sorry.
So, do you want me to touch on this smoke thing now and get it out of the way? Or do you
might as well, because I have a few more matches. Go ahead.
All right. First and foremost, we have all hopefully heard about these bushfires where I come from in Southern California. We had smaller versions of this. We called them brush fires. So if I say that, it's just because of habit. But these bushfires, I would think that we all know about. We've talked about them on the show as they first started. I know I was chatting with Cam Williams on his show about it. Good show, by the way. Anyway. The tournament is being basically intoxicated by forest fire or bushfire smoke. So real quickly, I wanted to touch on what happens when an athlete is performing at a high level and they can't breathe freely. Let's say I've played in high altitudes. That can be a struggle.
That's tough, yeah.
So when you are playing in sweltering heat and sometimes brisk winds, and that accompanied by a toxic smoke coming from forest fires or bush fires, you have to understand when the lungs are really pumping and you are working. Serena grunting. Even she wasn't at this tournament. She was in Auckland. But anyway, when you're really in a zone and you are working every muscle, and you're breathing, and you're going, and every time I can assume it would be like smoking a cigarette. I guess I'm not a smoker.
Well, one said it felt like she had asthma.
So what I wanted to say is that it's an issue, and it's an issue that's bigger than the game of tennis. I did want to say, and I'm not going to get political here, but it seems like the beginning of this tournament has become somewhat political. I'll explain, and again, we can talk about it in comments, but politics aren't for me. I'm too dumb to talk about politics. I get dumber when I try to figure out politics. So I'm out on that. But the climate change thing is political. It's real, in my opinion. I don't know the answer to it. And again, too dumb to know the answer to it. But I can say one thing, that here where we live on a small island in Alabama on the coast, it doesn't really even get cold anymore.
It's hot already. It's January.
Yeah, I mean we're in the mid 70s,
yeah.
High humidity, and it's January. When I was a boy here, it would get 30s, 40s, and I haven't seen that in a while. Number one, the water level has risen here on the island in various spots, but that goes without saying because it is kind of typical for water level to ebb and flow over the eons of time and hurricanes and thunderstorms, etc. But it does flood a lot easier here now than it ever has before. So I just wanted to say that first and foremost that I'm not going to get into whether I believe in climate change or not. Of course, this is a tennis channel, but how does this play into this tournament? And I'm going to talk about it. Number one, the athletes are falling out respectively, so they should be cautious of that. You're a primed athlete. Your body is your mechanism. You want that body in tip-top shape. Look, if I'm flying an F-35 fighter jet, would I go pee in the gas tank?
No,
I'm going to put the best fuel in it possible.
First of all, we know the Australian Open is one of the toughest slams to play because already you're dealing with the hot humidity, in Australia. On top of that, now we have air that's bad to breathe.
And I say it's political because there's this young lady. I think her name is Greta Thunberg or something. And I don't know anything about the young girl, but I know she is active on the political scene about addressing climate change. And it's my understanding that she's called out Roger Federer. Man, this girl's got courage. Called out Roger Federer to dump his sponsor because of their backing of fossil fuel producers. So
you think he'll listen?
Well, I think he responded in kind and said, I think we should all be mindful of our environments, and we always try to do something like that. He answered nicely, but I'm saying here we are, we've got players literally going down, they can't breathe, and you can see it from the helicopter views, that's thick smoke.
It's very foggy, yeah.
It's a tough situation for everyone. I don't think we need to get it, politically, I don't think we need to make the Australian Open the political battlegrounds for the bushfires. I think that everyone needs to contribute monetarily or with the prayer or whatever, but I don't think we should.
Aren't they getting rain?
Yes, I heard they are getting some rain. I don't know how that has addressed the progress of the fires, and I know there are firefighters from abroad helping out. But I don't think the Australian Open needs to be intertwined with the political battlegrounds for anything. But it has become that way as it seems. So hopefully it works out. But what I always try to say is, hey, be kind. Everybody's trying to live in this very difficult world. Life's a struggle. It's a real son of a bitch sometimes. and it can really kick you in the ass when you least expect it.
Yeah, so you don't need someone else kicking you in the ass.
Yeah, so just try to chill and just help out. But I really hope it doesn't become a political battleground for the world debating climate change. Let's just leave it tennis, and may the players donate, which they have been. But hopefully it doesn't get out left-wing politics because of anything. Anyway.
All right. Well, another player that came through first round qualies was Rosal Lucas. As we can all remember, Lucas Rosal, he beat Nadal
at Wimbledon,
in 2012, second round. So I didn't realize he's 34 years old now.
Lucas Rosal, hey.
34 years old. He's at the end of his career as well.
Lucas Rosal, I remember that Wimbledon match. I think we watched it together. Yeah. He just came out and he was playing.
Was just on that day.
He was just hitting missiles. We talked about this on the last show.
He was on that day, but I think they played again. They played again in 2014 and Nadal got him back.
Yeah. You can't play like that every match, unless you're the big three.
Yeah. Guns Warren comes through. Gobis, another veteran, comes through. There's a few players we recognize on the qualies. Gojowicz,
Stakowski, big server.
Paolo Lorenzi, Dennis Novak, Dustin Brown, Taro Daniel, Hyun Chung. He has to qualify for this tournament. Darcis, Kopil, Nagal, not Natal.
Nagal, the young man from India.
Yes, Polanski and Mahut are all that have to try to qualify for this tournament.
Well, I can promise you one thing: I do not need to wait for any of those guys to qualify to make my men's draw predictions.
Maybe Chung for me. That's about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's saying she's going to wait.
Bouchard for the women's, maybe?
Well, I mean, you can just put her in there anyway. I mean, and then just sub one if not.
All right, next tournament. At Adelaide, Steven goes down for the second time in a row in another first round. Sloane Stephens. She goes down 2-2. Ouch.
Correct.
She goes down to Rodionova.
Rodionova's been around a while. She can play the game. However, a 2-2 loss is kind of shocking, but not really for two reasons. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Sloane Stephens beat Madison Keys, thumped her in the U.S. Open final, I forget what year was it, 17? 18. Anyway.
Let me see, last year.
Was it?
So 3 years ago.
Was it not something the case where, I'm not saying Sloane Stephens is going to win the Australian Open, I'm just saying it's not a shock for me because I think, and check my math on this one, I'm shooting from the hip. Random access data, and my data is like whacked out these days. But didn't Sloane Stephens lose 2 first-round matches and 2 tournaments before the U.S. Open that year and then won the U.S. Open? I might be way off there, but I'm thinking she had I
don't know, but she doesn't look like she has much confidence. And she's definitely not going in with confidence into this tournament.
Agreed.
Another one we watched that he's picking to win the Australian Open was Ashley Barty. She struggled against Pavlyuchenkova. In 3 sets, she wins. She really struggled. She didn't look good to me. Pavlyuchenkova is a steady player.
Yeah.
Always had issues being a little bit bigger. I thought she would run out of gas, but 3 sets, Barty again, I don't know. I don't think I'll be picking her for the Australian Open. I don't know. She just looks questionable to me. For some reason, Australian players have a hard time playing in their country.
Yeah, it's like a crutch or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's mental, like Djokovic is to all the other players on tour. Real quickly, pertaining to that Barty Pavlyuchenkova match, rarely do I talk about equipment like tennis rackets or strings. I do that on just a different video playlist, like my stringing videos, whatever. But has anyone noticed the racket coloration? And I think it's the racket is a Wilson line. I think it's like a Wilson Bull line. What time we got?
39.
Oh shoot. It's called like a Wilson Bull line, and it's got like zebra stripes on it, a bunch of black and white.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah, it's been. But I think Riley Opelka uses it. I noticed that Pavlyuchenkova uses it, and a couple other players have used it for about a year now. Mm-hmm. But I love equipment. I'm passionate about it. I'm a stringer.
Tsitsipas uses the camo one.
Well, that was just a coloration, I think, for a tournament or two. But I do like the camo.
Yeah.
Okay, but for equipment, I never really bring it up here unless it's just gaudy. We talk about ugly outfits or whatever, right? That racket is just awful for 2 reasons. One, when you see it swing around, something about the pattern on it. Like if you go to a carnival, which I despise because all the rides just go in circles, and every time you go around in a circle, you just want to puke.
And then you see people eating.
Yeah, and you see people eating, and then you just want to just fall out and turn green and croak. So I don't frequent carnivals, but I have before in my life as a young man. Mm-hmm. And there's like rides that you get stuck to the wall because you spin around so fast and you realize
I don't know how that's fun.
You realize like halfway through it, you're like, oh my god, I should not have got on this. I am about to die and puke everywhere, all over your face. And then you puke and it sticks on your friend's face, like, ugh. And it got puke matted in their face. That's how I feel when I see that racket go around. It hypnotizes me. I see this thing and I like forget about tennis and I'm like zoned out like Inspector Gadget with the mad dude. You know, I'm like, and I'm like, wait a minute, what was I just looking at? Oh, and I realized that racket had me all kooky and hypnotized. And you see, it's just an odd thing. I've never seen such awful design for a tennis racket. I just don't care for it. Anyway.
All right. Halep wins. Sabalenka battles against Sueche, wins in 3. Good win for her. That's a tough player.
Let's get down, Sabalenka. Let's get down.
Good matches to watch tonight. Kerber, Yastrenska. Collins against Kennan. Sakari against Bekic. And Jiri against Lloyd Harrison.
Hey, go Laszlo Jiri. I like that young man. Let's go, Serbia. Let's get down.
And then pretty much we're done. We do have the Sharapova thing that we want to talk about.
Well, Sharapova fit into the smoke on the court. She and herself.
The Kuyun Classic.
Yeah, Kuyun, it's like an exhibition type, you know, it's a warm-up thing, but more on an exhibition type level. They agreed to stop the match because of the smoke, but I think we discussed the smoke. I personally don't think that Sharapova will be a threat to anyone at the Australian Open. I would not put her on my fantasy team any way, shape, or form. So I wish her well, but I hope her screech gets silenced in some vault of screech holding somewhere, because that screech is awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, to end the show, by the way, I think Ashley Barty will be fine. It's early. I think she'll be all right. She's a classy player. That's it. So
that's it, yeah.
Take care, everyone. Please subscribe to our channel. It means a lot. Thanks so much to all of you for even watching. We always have a fun time chatting with you guys. It's really quite a fun pastime.
Do your picks.
Yeah, thanks, by the way, Stefan Nizovic out there for sending us that tennis game. That was really fun to play. And if you want to compete for the Yonex V-Core 97 tennis racket, shirts, prizes, whatever, check out the video on a separate playlist for Australian Open 2020 prize giveaways. All right, take care. See ya. Adios. Subscribe.